you'll feel like a new man. So don't drag your feet. You're not going to feel better unless you get help. The providers at Limitless know what they're doing. To receive your custom treatment plan, schedule online at limitlessmail.com and get your life back.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
This is Adam Carriker on the ticket.
Position right of the quarterback out of the shotgun, first and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here's your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. It is lunchtime on a Friday, which means I have a case of the Fridays. It means we got a full weekend of Husker sports, Husker football, and, of course, one of the two fastest hours in radio each and every week right here on The Ticket. Join me live every Monday and Friday, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. Grab your lunch. Come join me at some point. The odds are about 50-50. Something intelligent will come out. Tuesday, Thursdays, the Big Ten Show, Carriker Chronicles, and on Wednesdays, former All-American quarterback Steve Taylor. And I will say this. I'm just going to leave it out there. If DP is listening, DP, this is true. Steve Taylor and I had an interesting conversation earlier this week, but I'll let that lie for now. I know, kind of a jerk move to put it out there and just let it be, but we'll see what the future has to hold. Here's my point, ladies and gentlemen. We got a fast, fun, hopefully enjoyable show for you fine folks today. All right, loaded as well. Quick rundown real quick. Rico taking another vacation day. Didn't he just do this like 2 weeks ago? Doesn't want to come to work. Actually, Rico's under the weather. Hope you're feeling better. All right. Have a great weekend. Feel better. We'll see you on Monday, my friend. Of course, we're going to talk a little Nebraska versus Wisconsin in a football. That volleyball rematch is coming up here in just a little over a week or so. As well, it might actually be a week from today. I can't remember. It's either Friday or Saturday, 7 or 8 days from now. Looking forward to that rematch. Nebraska football and Wisconsin football are going to get it on this Saturday night. Going to talk about that just a smidge. I know you didn't see that one coming. But we're also going to talk about some key games from college football around college football this weekend. So every year, and I mentioned this on my Big Ten show, but every year, the Saturday before the week of Thanksgiving, the matchups are they're abysmal. They're bad. Okay, because that's when the SEC takes their second bye week, a.k.a. they schedule Citadel, okay, No Name U, Skittles Tech, because that's how they do their thing. And then let's be real, let's be fair. Most of the rivalry games, not all of them, but most of them are the weekend of Thanksgiving. So there's kind of a little bit of a lull before Thanksgiving week, and those rivalry games crank up. But I actually found 4 pretty good matchups this weekend. I was actually excited. I was really just looking for 1 or 2, and I found 4. So we're going to go through those key matchups. And if we have time, all right, I don't have a whole lot of beef with the current college football playoff rankings. There's really just 2 things that stand out to me. There's things that you could tweak or change here or there. You could always do that. But there's really 2 things that stand out to me. 2 things that don't make any sense to me. And we'll cover those really quick. All right, but ladies and gentlemen, as always, GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders. Great accents for any backyard landscaping project. They sell to homeowners and contractors. They deliver anywhere near or far. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Check out gelandscapesupply.com or call 402-467-1627. And how could I forget to mention, that's just the first 25 minutes of the show, everything I went through. That's why I talk so fast. I don't know why I talk so fast. I just do. But at 12:30, I'm going to be joined by a former 2-time All Big 12 performer. All right, a former All-American, 4-time academic first-team All Big 12, a man from Auburn, Nebraska, a man who scared the crap out of me when I was a true freshman. Okay, he's a nice guy, but man, he scared the crap out of me when he was a senior and I was a freshman. That's Mr. Chris Kelsey. Back when defensive ends were known as rush ends here at the University of Nebraska. So tune in at 12:30. And then, of course, as always, the last 10 minutes of the show, we got the People's segment. Now, do me a favor. Throughout the show, even if it's like a comment or a concern or whatever, I'm going to answer all the questions at the end. But all your comments, all right, Jake's helping me today. He'll shoot me your comments, and I'll react to those throughout the show, and all the questions will be answered at the end. You can call or text all such things to 402-464-5685. All right. Nebraska traveling to Wisconsin. I mean, my gosh. You know, it's on the sheet in front of me, so I'll repeat it for the 1 millionth time, but we haven't beaten the Badgers since 2012, haven't beaten them in Wisconsin since they were using the term BC instead of AD to tell time. Ha. Okay, we're well aware of all that stuff. Here's the deal. Braylon Allen. So Wisconsin's had a ton of injury issues this year. Okay, the quarterback out. Running backs have been out for quite a while. The top two running backs. Now, Braylon Allen's it looks like he's going to be back in a limited role. Their top two wide receivers were out. I mean, this is all throughout the course of this year that this has happened to the Wisconsin Badgers. I know, preaching to the choir here at the University of Nebraska, right? We've had almost countless amounts of injuries. But here's the deal. When you've got a guy like Teddy Prohaska who can hop in at left tackle, all right, and you've got Malachi Coleman, albeit young, but a talented guy who needs to get reps. Like we have talented guys with ability and skill and athleticism who need to get better and grow and get experience. They're getting that experience and they're getting the opportunity to step up right now. So I feel like maybe the drop-off that Wisconsin had when their injuries happened was a little bit bigger. I know our offense has not played good. I get that. But they weren't playing great before. So it wasn't. My point is the drop-off wasn't as much for us as it was for Wisconsin due to all the injuries. Okay. But Braylon Allen, okay, is going to be back from injury, but might be limited. Okay. Now, the quarterback issues for Nebraska, 4 quarterbacks make the travel roster this week. All right, Heinrich Harburg, Jeff Sims, all right, Luke Longville, as well as Chubba Purdy. Now, I don't know who's going to start the game. I have a guess. My guess is Chubba Purdy. But, man, it's interesting. I have heard a groundswell of support, like just bubbling at the surface and starting to seep out in support of people wanting to see Chubba Purdy start this game. And it makes sense. He's a little bit more of the unknown. He had one great drive, one bad pass at the end of it. And I know that's been dissected, to the 1 millionth degree throughout this entire week. A year ago, when he went in, freshman, okay, overwhelmed, overly excited at times, didn't look good at all, to be honest with you. This year, all right, a year later, had the great drive, obviously one bad play, but he showed promise, and he's kind of the unknown. We know what we're going to get with Harburg. We know what we're going to get with Sims. Sometimes the unknown can scare the crap out of you. In this case, I think it just gives Husker fans a reason for some optimism because we know what we're going to get otherwise. All right, so it's interesting because I wanted to learn a little bit more about Mr. Longville. The 4th quarterback is going to be traveling this week, 6'2", 200 pounds. Sioux City, Iowa is where he calls home or where he hailed from. A redshirt freshman. Okay. Now, Longville went to Iowa Western after a knee injury shortened his senior season at Sioux City North High School in Iowa. In 8 games as a senior, Longville completed 112 out of 196 passes with 1,410 yards, and he accounted for 14 total touchdowns. In his junior-senior season, Longville threw for 1,500 yards with 17 touchdowns. Prior to his senior season, Longville competed at the Elite 11 Houston Regional, where he posted the top score at the Pro Day drill. Now, do I think he's going to get in the game? No, probably not. But I see the name of a new quarterback I'm not as familiar with. I want to educate myself a little bit. So I educated myself, and hopefully you feel smidge educated as well. What's that old song? We don't need no education. I just I say it with the M all the time now without even realizing it. We don't need no education. I said it one time in the Chronicles like a year ago, and it just stuck. All right, let's move on to the game itself. Now, of course, other than the quarterback situation, okay, and Satterfield earlier this week, and Rule squashed that. Like he doesn't want the offense to have to start over and learn a whole bunch of new play calls and things of that nature. Satterfield's not going anywhere. He made that clear. Okay, so outside of those things, the biggest topic of conversations has been turnovers. So if you didn't know, we're not great at this. Hopefully we do much better this Saturday, rooting for that pretty strongly. All right, when it comes to turnover margin, we're 129th in the country, minus 14. Only Temple is worse. Dear God, Temple, they're minus 18 in the country, turnover margin. All right, Wisconsin's at -2. They tend to not give presents away as much as we do, apparently. They're tied for 81st in the country with about 8 other teams. Okay, when it comes to just turnovers lost, we are dead last. 130th, -27. Marshall's just in front of us at 129th with -23. That's a full game of 4 turnovers that we're behind the second worst team in the country. Got to hold on to that ball just a smidge to a whole lot better. That'd be great. Wisconsin tied for 74th to 84th in the country with 10 other teams when it comes to lost turnovers, of 15 lost turnovers on the year. Now, red zone. This is the thing I don't think has been talked about enough. Okay, because we don't get a whole lot of chances to score. So when we get in the red zone, we got to take advantage of it. All right, Tristan Alvano has found his stride, the young, talented, bright future field goal kicker, okay, that we have. He's found his stride. I now trust him to make way more field goals than he's going to miss. Okay, but we got to figure out how to score touchdowns when we get in the red zone because it doesn't happen a ton. Now, when it comes to the red zone, I feel like this is the most overlooked thing so far. And I brought it up here and there sporadically throughout the year, but the quarterbacks situation, some of the play calls, the turnovers have just overshadowed everything when it comes to the offense, plus the injuries, in fairness. Okay, but Nebraska's offense and red zone efficiency, not great. 127th in the country, Wisconsin's 58th. Our defensive red zone efficiency is, all right, 67th in the country, and we're tied for 5 other teams at 67th. Wisconsin is tied for 22nd. So Wisconsin has the edge in the red zone. Okay, a lot of this, like they were much higher ranked in these stats also before some of these injuries happened earlier in the year. So they've started to drop as their injuries have mounted, but they are going to get some guys back, and they have gotten some guys back throughout the year as well. Okay. Now, I'll be honest with you. My prediction for this game, I put out a Carriker Chronicles like just yesterday morning. Now, I did record it about 2 or 3 days ago. I don't remember what it was. I really don't. And I didn't even go back and look it up because here's what I want to do. If you watch that show, because I'm going to give a prediction now. If you watch that show and my prediction matches or doesn't match, let me know. I'm curious to see if I come up with the same answer twice. I didn't do that often enough in math in school when I was growing up. That was kind of a problem over time. But here's my prediction. Let me know if it's the same prediction I had earlier this week. All right. Call or text 402-464-5685 or leave a comment below on the social medias and or YouTube if you're watching this on the tube. All right. I have Nebraska, and this was a tough one. I do remember I went back and forth. This is why I don't remember. I went back and forth so much with who was going to win, what the score was going to be. At one point, I had a 9-6 prediction with Wisconsin winning. That was my initial prediction. Okay. I don't remember what my final one was, but here is my new updated final one. Now, whether it's different or not, I don't remember, but I have Nebraska winning. Okay, mostly because Wisconsin's effort, like you watch Northwestern play. That team has no business being 5-5. I have them winning the game this weekend, and then I have them beating Illinois. I have them going 7-5, which is absolutely absurd. By the way, congratulations to David Braun, Northwestern's new head coach. Okay, the defensive coordinator at North Dakota. There was North Dakota State, which was just hired not long ago, and then all of a sudden he's the interim head coach. Now he's the head coach. I had no idea what Northwestern was going to do for a head coach. That was not a situation that any reasonable. I tried to go Bob Diaco. Sorry, can't do it. Did you see the strain? It was real. No reasonably good coach is going to want to take that job. So what's Northwestern going to do? How are they going to compete? And then walking into a situation like that is mostly what I mean. No disrespect to their football program. Okay. I mean a situation like that and everything that's gone on. And man, the guy was already in house. Congratulations to Northwestern on finding a good football coach. Congratulations to David Braun on, they're probably going to go to a bowl game, win 1 out of 2, but man, that team could win 7 games this year. And that's what I predict them doing. That's crazy. Okay. My point is this, and I went off on a little random tangent sidebar. If you used to listen to my show, you're kind of used to that. But here's my point. Nebraska, Wisconsin. This Wisconsin team, when I watch them from an effort and energy and enthusiasm standpoint, I see the opposite of what I see with Northwestern, at least recently. And who knows? Maybe they'll get a butt chewing. Maybe they held some sort of team meeting, no coaches allowed, and maybe they're going to come out on fire this Saturday night. It appears to me that they may have quit a little bit early on this season, and that is the only reason I'm picking Nebraska to win. And I'm kind of, no disrespect to them, and I'm kind of hoping that's what they did because it would help Nebraska win the game. I have Nebraska winning 13-10. Now, does that match my previous score prediction? No idea. Somebody let me know. 402-464-5685 is the number. Now, my son, Jacob, All right. The trader picked Wisconsin to win the game on my show earlier this week. So he has Wisconsin. I have Nebraska. I went back and forth no less than half a dozen times, easily 6 to 10 times. All right. Changing my score prediction. And also let me know in the comments. You can hit that number up. I want to know your prediction for the score versus Nebraska versus Wisconsin. All right. 402-464-5685. Let me know your score prediction and your biggest key to Nebraska winning this game and becoming bowl eligible. Okay. As well. Hit up that number. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I was able to find some good college football matchups this weekend, which I wasn't sure I'd be able to do going into rivalry week, Thanksgiving week. Okay. Number 22, Utah versus number 19, Arizona. Arizona is a team that, let me see here. They've got 3 losses. They barely lost to USC, barely lost to Washington. I mean, they could easily be sitting here with 2, maybe 1 losses. 1 loss, 2 losses, or 1 loss. So this is a pretty good football team. They're favored by 1. Utah misses Cam Rising. If they had Cam Rising, Utah easily is a 1-loss team right now instead of where they're at with 3, I believe. And they miss him. They have 21 really good players, and they're just missing that solid piece at quarterback. Now, I had a Husker fan send me a question, and I've heard no rumors, so I'm not trying to start any, but it sure brought a potential smile to my face. He goes, what if Cam Rising were to enter the transfer portal and Nebraska snagged him? Oh, my God, I popped for that. To use a wrestling term, I popped for that. Now, again, I haven't heard anything. I just thought that was an interesting idea. But when he comes back next year, he'll easily be one of the best quarterbacks in all college football. But I got Arizona winning. All right, North Carolina, number 20 in the country versus Clemson, who was unranked. 4-loss Clemson. There was a time earlier this year when I was banging North Carolina's drum. They have not played well since, so thank you for that. I've got Clemson winning, who is also a 6.5-point favorite. That surprised me. I've got Clemson winning. All right, next up, we got a little bit of a rivalry matchup here. Kansas State versus Kansas. All right, number 21 versus number 25. Although depending on which poll you're looking at, Liberty is number 25 at 10-0. But in the poll I happen to look at, it's Kansas at 25. All right, Kansas State 21. Kansas State's a 9.5-point favorite. There was a couple of spreads here that shocked me. Now, I was leaning towards Kansas State, like 51-49, but when I saw that, I'm definitely going Kansas State after that. Now, watch, Kansas is probably going to win, and I'm rooting for him to win. All right, Lance Leipold's a good dude. As I mentioned here on this show, my dad used to send him my recruiting, high school recruiting tapes, because that was his job here at the University of Nebraska at that point in time. So he's a good dude. I'm rooting for him, but I got Kansas State winning. All right, the big matchup of the weekend. Oregon State is a top 10 team. If you look at the college football playoff rankings, a top 10 Oregon State team. 2 losses. Now, they are a 2-point favorite over number 5 and undefeated Washington. So I mentioned a week ago, in the past couple of weeks, that I think Washington's going to lose a game before the end of the year, before the Pac-12 championship, when they're going to probably play, I don't know if it's locked in yet, but they're going to play Oregon, whether it's locked in yet or not. They're going to lose a game that they're not supposed to simply because they're playing so many good teams week after week after week. Eventually, you're just going to get tripped up. The Pac-12, you play like a ranked team like 2 out of every 3 games. That's tough. And even their last game versus a non-ranked Washington State team, that's the last Apple Cup. That's going to be a rivalry game. That's going to be tough. So I said a while ago, I think Oregon State's the team that trips them up. Alas, Oregon State's a 2-point favorite. That was pretty flabbergasting to me. Now, Oregon State has not been this good in 23 years, since 2000. That year, they finished 11-1, number 5 in the country. They dominated, mollywop Notre Dame, number 9 Notre Dame team, 41-9 in the Fiesta Bowl that year. That Oregon State Beavers team featured Chad Ochocinco, T.J. Hushmanzada, and Jonathan Smith, the quarterback, who was he was a 4-year starter, but the current Oregon State head coach as well. All right, so I kind of give it away already, but I've got Oregon State. I was going to say upsetting Washington, but they're favored. Still feels like an upset. I got Oregon State, I guess, upsetting. All right, Washington. I still think Washington's the better team. I just think Oregon State at home happens to get them on this day. Now, we're going to take a break here in a couple minutes. But there's a couple things that stood out to me real quick when it comes to college football playoff rankings. And again, keep sending your questions, your comments, your concerns. Call or text 402-464-5688. 8-5. All right, now you can debate. All right, Ohio State dropping from number 1 because they have the best resume. Also, by every other game they've played this year outside of pretty much Penn State, Notre Dame, they haven't looked good. So you can argue they could be lower. They could be below Florida State and Washington based on how they've looked. You could argue number 1 based on a resume. You can debate Georgia at 1, Michigan at 2. You can debate should Michigan be punished and drop lower. You can debate a lot of things. A couple of things are interesting to me. Washington at 5 should be ahead of Florida State at 4. Florida State is one of the least impressive undefeated teams I've seen in a while. And they may finish undefeated and they may win the ACC and get in the CFP. And then we'll see what happens. But as of right here, right now, Washington has not yet lost to anybody. They have played a tougher schedule and they have looked better doing it. They should be ahead of Florida State. That being said, it will probably work itself out. The real one that's interesting to me, because number 1, Georgia, number 2, Michigan, number 3, Ohio State, number 4, Florida State, number 5, Washington, Oregon at 6. Again, the best one-loss team in the country, I believe. 7, Texas, 8, Alabama, 9, Louisville. No point in going below that. Those are all the one-loss or undefeated teams. Texas is at 7, Alabama is at 8 because Texas beat Alabama earlier this year. We all know that. We also know that Alabama is probably the most improved team in the country, while Texas has very rarely looked impressive since. There is a groundswell that I'm starting to hear in the college football world from folks that I know of people want Alabama over Texas if it comes down to it for the CFP rankings. Shocker, I know, right? The ESPN SEC network is just, if you watch the college football playoff ranking announcement show every week, they're starting to bring it up on the ESPN SEC network. They're starting to bring it up. They're starting to just plant seeds. And at some point, if it comes down to it, let's say Texas is 4, Bama's 5. Let's say Bama wins the SEC and beats Georgia. My God, that's going to send people into a tizzy on that network and elsewhere. There's people who are going to argue for Bama over Texas. If you have the same record and you played head-to-head, the head-to-head has to matter. I don't care if it was the last week of the season or the first game of the season. It has to matter. That's not a problem yet, but just know that if both these teams keep winning, it's something that could be brought up later. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and then we're going to head to break, I'm always intrigued by the Cinderellas, the underdogs. One of my favorite bowl games of all time was the Fiesta Bowl, where Boise State upset Oklahoma and put all the non-power 5 teams on the map. Okay. Every year, the games I look forward to the most are the 2 college football playoff games. Okay. As far as bowl games, the 2 college football playoff games, the Rose Bowl, whatever game Nebraska's in, once we get back to bowl games, and then the group of 5 team that gets into one of the 6 major bowl games. Those are the 5 I always look forward to the most. I look forward to having 5 games to look forward to. Get bowl eligible, Nebraska. Tulane and James Madison. Tulane's 9-1, ranked ahead of James Madison. They're 17. James Madison is 18. Liberty is 25th in the CFP poll at 10-0. But here's the deal. James Madison cannot go to a bowl game. They're 10 they should have gone last year. You have to wait 2 years when you go to the FBS level, which I don't understand that rule. What's the point of that? We're going to send 5 and 7 teams to bowl games this year, but this James Madison team could go undefeated, win their conference. I know it's Sun Belt, and not go to a bowl game because of some stupid rule that exists because it exists. It doesn't make any sense. Here's why I think they did it. Because I think James Madison could very likely go undefeated. And I don't think anybody's going to realistically argue they could be in the college football playoff rankings, but I think they want to, because they appealed to try to get into a bowl game and they were denied. And I was like, why? Why? Like, I'll tell you right now, if Nebraska goes 5 and 7 and gets into a bowl game and James Madison goes undefeated, 12-0, 13-0, wins their conference, whatever that conference is, and doesn't go, that's a travesty of justice. That is bull crap of the highest fecal matter. I'm just saying, I think they rejected him because if James Madison goes undefeated, they're not going to have a legit argument to get into a 4-team college football playoff. They would at 12, and they should. But my point is this. I think they were trying to nix in the rear any potential UCF situation before it ever happened. And I think it's ridiculous. I know not a lot of Husker fans probably care about that, but if you're a college football fan, this intrigues me very much, and it actually annoys me. All right. We are just a smidge behind, so we're going to pay some bills, and then we're going to bring on one of the best to ever do it. All right, Mr. Chris Kelsey. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
If you're like most guys with symptoms, you don't want to ask for help.
Are you
Perhaps
working
a free
in
consult
or
with
looking
the
to get into
men's
the
health
electrical
experts
construction
will
industry?
encourage
The
you.
electrical
What
work-
could it hurt? Limitless knows exactly how to treat your symptoms. They will verify with a blood test, and in a very short time, you'll feel like a new man. So don't drag your feet. You're not going to feel better unless you get help. The providers at Limitless know what they're doing. To receive your custom treatment plan, schedule online at limitlessmail.com and get your life back.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Harrison Arns. Switching over to football on Friday, November 3rd in Class A, number 6 Lincoln East would fall to number 3 Elkhorn South 24-19. In Class B, number 9 Norris lost to number 1 Bennington in a close one, 23-20. And number 2 Waverly would advance to the semifinals after dominating in a win over Hastings, 45-21. Switching to volleyball, here are your 2023 state champions. In Class A, Lincoln Southwest won in their championship game over Papillion La Vista. In Class B, Omaha Scott will continue their dominance in recent history, winning over Norris in 3 sets. In Class C1, Minden won over Kearney Catholic in 5. And in Class C2, Lincoln Lutheran won over Clarkson Lay for its 3rd straight championship. This has been your Southeast Community College High School Minute. Learn more today at southeast.edu with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford.
Are you tired of living in pain? It's time to take control. At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, we're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bones to complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step towards a better, pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
I'm Christy. I used to smoke cigarettes. I had smoker's cough and severe shortness of breath, and I knew I had to quit. Then I tried e-cigarettes, but I just ended up using both. I really didn't start to get better until I quit smoking completely. My tip to you is just cutting down on the number of cigarettes you smoke isn't enough.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Are you looking for some holiday fun? This year, start a new tradition. Make the Nebraska Christmas Lights Show experience an annual event for your family and a cherished memory to look forward to every year. From Black Friday to January 3rd, buckle up and tune into the rhythm of the lights and let the magic of Christmas take over with the show. Now located at Star City Shores, just off of 27th and Highway 2. Buy your tickets for just $20 or $25 per car today at NebraskaChristmasLightShow.com.
What a day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up. Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh, yeah. This is a game changer.
Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better.
You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
Vershawn Jackson for Brant Excavating. Brant's been in business for 29 years, and they specialize in a variety of things. If you're looking for someone to get the job done in precision demolition, excavating, trucking, mass grading, and site prep, Brant is the place to call. To set up a quote or learn more, call Brant Excavating at 402-474-4113 or go to BrantExcavating.com. They're also hiring, so join the team today. Brant Excavating, a part of the Bauer brand, who reminds you, go Big Brand!
Hi, it's Charlie Stone, and here with me is Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know the new Honda sales are going really good right now at Honda of Lincoln, and with that, a lot of fresh trade-ins are coming in. Can you tell our listeners about your pre-owned selection?
I'm happy to, Charlie. Like you said, with new Honda sales going very good, we have a lot of fresh trade-ins coming in daily, and not just Hondas. We have just about every maker model you can imagine, with over 100 pre-owned and certified pre-owned to choose from, and prices starting at just $5,900.
Wow, what about financing?
We have financing as low as 3.29% APR on certified Accords and CRV.
Thanks again, Andy. People love the selection and great service at Honda of Lincoln. Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
You're listening to Adam Carriker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. Hope you're having a great lunch break. Hope you have a case of the Fridays just like I do. Weekend's just around the corner. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as always, be sure to check out GE Landscape Supply. Check them out at GELandscapeSupply.com. Also, CarrikerChronicles.com. It's where all your hopes and dreams, football-related, will come true. It's just science. And as always, call or text 402-464-5685. Send in your questions, comments, or concerns. I love interacting with the people. But next, I am excited to be joined by a special guest. This is a man from Auburn, Nebraska. All right, he's also coaching high school football, out there dominating teams modern day. But he played for Nebraska back when defensive ends were known as rush ends. 1998 to 2002, a multi-time All-Big 12 performer, first-team All-Big 12 in 2001, second-team All-America that same year, a team captain, a four-time first-team All-Big 12 academic performer, and a 10-year NFL vet, all with the Buffalo Bills. Mr. Chris Kelsey, how you doing, my friend? Chris, can you hear me?
I can.
All right, how you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you, Adam?
I'm good, and I appreciate you joining me. So, as I tend to do with all my interviews, I want to go backwards before I go forward into present and modern day. Now, you were a freshman. Your years were 1998 to 2002. So in 1998, that was Solich's first season. It was right after 25 years of the Osborne era, 3 national titles in 4 years, all that good stuff. I'm curious, what was it like in 1998 during that transitional period from Coach Osborne to Coach Solich, you being a true freshman in that locker room? What was that particular year like during that transitional period as we changed head coaches?
You know, my viewpoint might be a little different than, the rest of my recruiting class. I was Coach Osborne's last recruiting class. I committed to Nebraska after my junior year in high school, and he was still the head coach. So he retired during my senior year of high school. But I left right after my senior year got over. I left Auburn, where I grew up, and moved in with my brother in Lincoln. So I was working out with the team and familiarizing myself with the program several months before the rest of my recruiting class got up there. And, expectations were high, like you'd said, coming off 3 national championships in 4 years. That was the mentality. Kind of like nothing new, nothing's changed. Solich was a Osborne guy, and we didn't figure there was going to be a whole lot of difference other than losing arguably the best college football coach, in the history of the NCAA. Granted, we knew that he'd still be around and still have an influence on the team. As far as expectations, I mean, you know how it was as a freshman. You're just putting your nose to the grind, head down, working hard, trying to make a good impression and doing all the things the right way. So I guess I just really didn't know anything different and thought it was just, status quo and just moving forward, trying to win another national championship.
Now, talk to me about 1999, because there's certain teams that get brought up by Husker fans. The teams that didn't quite win the title, but maybe were good enough to do so. You think about 82, 83, 93, and 99 gets brought up a lot. You guys ended up number 3 in the country, just stomped a mud hole in Tennessee in the Fiesta Bowl. Florida State was number 1 that year. All right, in your opinion, all right, obviously Florida State was pretty good. Nebraska was pretty good. Had Nebraska had the opportunity to play Florida State that year, what do you think would have happened?
Obviously, I'm going to say I think we would have won. We were really playing football at the winning time. And, you're right. That 99 team gets mentioned a lot. And as you know, defensive guys, we had a really, really good defense that year. And, you mentioned the Fiesta Bowl. And I just brought up, the fact that Coach Osborne retired, my senior year in high school. And then after the Fiesta Bowl, Coach McBride announces his retirement. So arguably 2 of the greatest coaches at their respective positions to coach in the college football ranks. I lost, within a 3-year period. So, but yeah, I mean, 99 is as good a team as I have ever played on. And obviously I think that we can play with anybody in the country that year.
Now, I don't think I've ever told you this, and I'm sure maybe you remember. You were a senior when I was a true freshman. And dude, I'm just going to be honest. You intimidated me, and you scared the crap out of me. Just being a true freshman, I was a very quiet guy back then. I know that's hard to believe, but you were jacked, very intense, worked your butt off. And just so everyone knows, Chris is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. But I remember there was 3 defensive ends that year. It was you, Justin Smith, and Des Moines Adams. And I remember one time, like, you and Justin Smith had a bit of a disagreement during a drill or whatever during the summer. I just remember, like, I was standing there watching you guys kind of, have more than a friendly chat, and I about crapped my pants, to be honest with you. I was like, these guys could kill me. But anyways, my question is this, because everybody, by that point, you were now an upperclassman. You were a leader on the team. You were, as I mentioned when I brought you on, you were one of the 3 team captains. So my question for you is, what was your leadership style and approach when you got to that position as an upperclassman?
Lead by example. And that's just kind of always how I've done it. And those are the leaders. And I don't want to speak for you, but, seeing your career and seeing, what you've accomplished, I would assume that you took a similar approach. You respect a leader a lot more when they're out there doing the things that they're preaching. And I know whether it's in high school, college, in the NFL, I was a captain in all 3 levels. I approached it the way that I wanted to be led. I'm not going to tell somebody to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And I think that goes a long ways. And you can't really jump into somebody's ass when you're not willing to do it yourself. And you bring up the deal with Justin Smith, though I don't remember that particular instance, but there's been several through the years. And I think that's where I garnered some of the respect I got, because that very point, I'm not going to tell somebody or ask somebody to do something that I'm not willing to do first. So I grew up, really since my sophomore year in high school. I was a freshman in high school and my brother was a senior. And so I was around the football program up in Lincoln for years. There was 9 years straight that my brother or I was in the program playing. Chad didn't redshirt. I did. So that's where you get those 9 years. But I was up there a lot. And I just saw how, especially during the summertime, how coaches weren't.
Chris, are you there? Yeah, we lost you for a second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I live out in the country and I'm in my driveway.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
So I must have lost you for a second. But as I was saying, being around the program, especially during the summer times, it was player driven. Coaches may have made an appearance now and again, but everything was led by the leaders of the team. And so that's how I approach it too. And it was my turn to step into that role. I wanted to do my job. I wanted to hold everybody accountable, but hold myself accountable first and foremost. And that's the one thing that really jumped out at me watching the program from the sidelines when my brother was up there was just how it was more than just football. It was a brotherhood, and it was about winning at all costs and holding each other accountable. And that's just I took that approach with me throughout my career.
All right, let's talk a little bit of modern Husker football. Tony White's defense, the 3-3-5 defense, has played very well this year. In fact, the Huskers haven't given up 20 points or more in their past 5 games. What has stood out to you about the Black Shirts defense this year and why they've been able to adjust to a new scheme, a new coach, and for the majority of the season play really well? Why have they been able to do that in your opinion so far this year?
Man, I wish I had an answer. I'm surprised, to be honest with you. Like, I was able to meet Tony prior to the season beginning, and I did my research on him, just reading up like I'm sure all Husker fans did. What he did at Syracuse and the type of defense he runs is kind of unorthodox and not what you see every day. But to see what he's done with the personnel he has is really surprising. It's amazing. Those guys have played their rears off all year long, and to see the success that they're having on that side of the ball is I'm pleasantly surprised. And in my personal opinion, I don't even think he's scratched the surface of what they're capable of in that defense. Once they get more familiar with it and add a few more pieces of the puzzle personnel wise, man, I think this is going to be a real potent defense for a long time. And to see what he's done in such a short amount of time is really remarkable.
All right, so I'm gonna touch a little taboo subject with Husker fans because Tony White's name's starting to come up with other potential coaching jobs out there. All right, we got to do everything we can to bring him back, in my opinion. But how important is it to you to do everything we can to try to bring Tony back, keep and make sure Tony stays back with Nebraska going forward in the future?
We have to do everything we can. I mean, I think Trev and obviously Rule. He's a Rule guy. He obviously hired him to come run our defense, but we can't lose a guy like that, especially after year one. Like I said, there's the sky's the limits for this defense, and his leadership and the way that he's responded, and the kids have responded to him. It'd be a huge hit to our program, in my opinion, if we were to lose him.
Talk to me about the defensive line, because that was the biggest question mark coming into the season. Only one guy had any real legit experience. That was Ty Robinson. We didn't have a whole lot of depth that we knew of. Now, Ty Robinson has played great. The Polar Bear, Nash Hutmaker, is playing great. You got freshmen like Cam Lenhart that are stepping up. And you could argue this is maybe the strongest group on the defense, but absolutely one of the strongest position groups on the team. What has stood out to you about why the defensive line has been so effective so far this year?
I think are really disciplined. I think the plays that they're supposed to make, they make. We are a great tackling team, which I haven't been able to say that for years.
Yeah.
Which is sorry in and of itself, but I think they play with their hair on fire. That they have a lot of confidence in themselves. They have a lot of confidence in the guys behind them, and you know how far that can go. If the guys behind you are doing their job, and the guys behind you know that you're going to do your job, it meshes well together. It all has to work together. It's just not one position group playing well and the other two can slide or what have you. I just think that they're putting them in great positions to use their abilities. And then when there's plays there that they should make, they're making them. And then just hustling their butts off. You preach it all the time about running to the football, playing through the whistle, or just a tad after the whistle. And that's what you're seeing from those guys up front. And they got a pretty good rotation going, keeping guys fresh. But the guys that have had to make plays in the critical moments have come up and made some good plays.
All right, my man, last question I got for you. It's a two-parter. What's your biggest key to the game for Nebraska beating Wisconsin this Saturday? And then do you have a score prediction?
I don't have a score prediction. I do think it's going to be a close game, especially in Madison. Wisconsin, has struggled at times this year too, but they'll always play us tough up there. So I don't really have a score prediction, but I have 2 words. I mean, it comes down to turnovers, right? That's been the thorn in our side. That's been the thorn in our side all year long. And I'm not a shoulda, coulda, woulda guy, but if you look at our schedule and you take away our turnovers, we're sitting at 1, maybe 2 losses this year. Obviously Michigan is a great team, one of the top in the country. you don't win that game, I don't believe. But and then you can talk about Colorado, but look at the scores, look at our turnover margin, and we're a completely different team if we can take care of the football. So difference in this game, I think, will be like the difference in every game for the most part, outside of those two I mentioned, turnovers. And we're going to play good defense. I know we're going to play good defense. We just have to be able to move the ball offensively and take care of the ball.
I completely agree with you, my friend. I think you nailed it. Appreciate you taking the time to join me. And don't go anywhere, Husker Nation. We'll be right back.
If you're like most guys with symptoms, you don't want to ask for help. Perhaps a free consult with the men's health experts will encourage you. What could it hurt? Limitless knows exactly how to treat your symptoms. They will verify with a blood test, and in a very short time, you'll feel like a new man. So don't drag your feet. You're not going to feel better unless you get help. The providers at Limitless know what they're doing. To receive your custom treatment plan, schedule online at limitlessmail.com and get your life back.
At Koppel Chevrolet GMC, we are thankful for so many things this year, starting with our great employees, a generous community, our military personnel, and most importantly, our loyal customer base that continues to drive that money-saving mile of Louisville. Hi, this is Sean Callahan, and on behalf of everybody at Koppel, we want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and safe travels to wherever they may take you. Happy holidays from Koppel Chevrolet GMC.
You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket as soon as the clock hits 0 for the Jay Foreman postgame show. Listen to expert analysis from the Husker Hall of Famer, an 8-year NFL veteran, for 90 minutes after the game. The Jay Foreman postgame show, sponsored by Tanner's Bar and Grill, Vinny Kreekak, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break. The garage door at our house has been needing replacement for a couple years, and a few months ago, we finally did something about it. Steve's Garage Doors and Services was great through the whole process in providing options and also going to the next level to get a door that was approved by our HOA. And best of all, the removal of the old door and installation of the new door was done smoothly with no issues. Call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today at 402-480-2840.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
If your home isn't delivering the year-round comfort you expect, call the experts at Bryant. Warm and cool, comfort and confidence. Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. Call 467-1111.
It's the best time of the year to order a new John Deere self-propelled windrower from Landmark Implement during the early order program. Hay harvest is a race against time. Order a new John Deere self-propelled windrower to harvest your hay quickly and efficiently while promoting quick dry down for high-quality hay. Now is the time to lock in the best price of the year. Contact your local Landmark location for full details on a new self-propelled windrower and experience the Landmark difference.
Are you tired of living in pain? It's time to take control. At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, we're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bones to complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step towards a better, pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
If you're not going to Memorial Stadium for a home game and don't have any travel plans for away games, there's a great place in Omaha to catch the action, the Inner Rail Food Hall. There's plenty of space. The Backstretch Bar has amazing game specials on game days. $15 Blue Moon and Bud Light pitchers, $6 margaritas, and $6 Moscow mules. And if you're hungry, take in some of their great options from their game day pizza specials. Do football game day right in the Inner Rail Food Hall in Exarban Village in Omaha.
I'm Christy. I used to smoke cigarettes. I had smoker's cough and severe shortness of breath, and I knew I had to quit. Then I tried e-cigarettes, but I just ended up using both. I really didn't start to get better until I quit smoking completely. My tip to you is just cutting down on the number of cigarettes you smoke isn't enough.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
You're listening to Adam Carriker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket. It is time for the People's segment. Your questions, your comments, your concerns. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you missed the interview I just did with Chris Kelsey, feel free to check it out anytime on YouTube and anywhere 93.7 The Ticket puts out their awesome content. All right, send your questions, your comments, your concerns. You got a few minutes here. We've got 3 on the docket. But if you want to take this last chance to get your questions, comments, concerns, 402-464-5685. Check out GELandscapesupply.com for all your landscape supply needs. Also, CarrikerChronicles.com and everything 93.7 The Ticket related as well. Check them out on Facebook, Twitter, and the YouTube. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to your questions. Hey, Adam, would Satterfield being on the sideline instead of the box help the offense, specifically the quarterbacks? Now, Nebraska's quarterback coach, is the same guy as the offensive coordinator, Marcus Satterfield, the same type of role that he had at South Carolina under Shane Beamer at his other previous stops as well. Now, the question is about him being on the sideline versus in the box. So normally, head coaches, D coordinators, offensive coordinators are on the sideline so that they can gather a unit, so they can pull a player aside, so they can interact with you face to face and talk to you. So there's that personal relational thing. In the box, you've obviously got the advantage of being able to see the whole field. It's easier to see what's going on if you're the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, see what the defense is doing. But I've always thought it was kind of more important, to be able to talk directly to a player, to pull all the wide receivers together, to pull all the offensive linemen together, whatever the case may be. Now, I can honestly tell you, I never once as a defensive lineman had my D-line coach in the box. But let's be honest, the offensive line typically isn't doing anything fancy. It's typically zone, pass, power, counter, maybe a little bit of trap is about as fancy as it gets. So you're not worried so much about the X's and O's with the defensive line as you are if you're calling the entire offense, you're coaching the quarterbacks. So typically what happens is offensive coordinators, for example, are on the field, and then maybe you've got the quarterbacks coach up in the box, or you got another position coach up in the box, and then he's relaying everything that he's seeing, or maybe you've got somebody else on the staff that's in the box, the press box, relaying what they see so the coordinator can talk directly to the players. But Satterfield, he's been on the field, he's been in the box so far this year. I think the only issue that I see really with Satterfield, other than what I just laid out, being at times in the box versus on the field, is he's also the quarterback's coach. If you are directing the offense or you're coaching the quarterbacks, you've either got to have your OC right there on the field, because the quarterback position is as much mental as it is anything else. The two positions on a football team that have to have the shortest memory are the quarterback and the cornerback. You've got to be able to talk directly face-to-face with the quarterback. So that's my only hesitation. I'm not even saying it's right or wrong. That's just my hesitation if you're the quarterback's coach and the offensive coordinator and you're not on the field. Because you got to be able to calm a quarterback down. You got to be able to fire him up. You got to be able to do whatever is necessary, which is why I think you see Matt Rule talking to quarterbacks an awful lot. Because if Satterfield's in the box, he's not able to do that. So that's my only hesitation with it. All right. Is the 3-game suspension for Jim Harbaugh enough? Thomas and Lincoln. Here's what's not enough. They haven't done enough research, enough recon. They don't have enough information. They handed down a suspension to try to appease the angry mob, but they don't have the information. There's also other schools that are guilty as well. Are they not going to get some sort of suspension at some point? Basically, I think they set a scary precedent. Okay, I do believe that suspensions or penalties or whatever should be handed out, but they've readily admitted they don't have all the information. So how can you hand out anything? They're trying to get something done this year, which I get. I understand. Okay, and frankly, I hope if Nebraska doesn't make the Big Ten title game, because the odds are against it, not completely out of it, I hope Michigan wins out. They beat Penn State on the road. I hope they beat Maryland this weekend. And I hope they beat Ohio State, win the Big Ten, and all with Harbaugh not on the field, because then it starts to lift that. I don't like whenever there's doubt or whenever, like, I want the national champion to be the national champion. And if Michigan's the best team in the Big Ten, I want them to be the best team in the Big Ten. I want them to win the CFP if that's them. I don't like doubt. I like it to be clear cut. And so for me, they needed to get more information. The silver lining in this is if Michigan does win against 2 top 10 teams when they played them, one on the road and one is the game, I guess, against the Ohio State, I guess. And if they do it without Harbaugh, that removes a little bit of that doubt. To answer your specific question, they shouldn't have done anything because they don't have the necessary information. Because do they add more? Do they punish somebody else? We're trying to appeal the pitchfork mob mentality, and that's a dangerous precedent to set, in my opinion. All right, we got one more question here. Who is the best player on the black shirt defense? So when I read that question, my initial response is what Chris said. Chris Kelsey, I thought he made a great point when I asked him about the D line. All the units work together. Okay, if like, for example, if the defensive line is getting to the quarterback quicker, sooner rather than later, that's less time the DBs have to cover. At the same time, if the DBs are covering really, really well, that gives the D-line more time to get to the quarterback. You know why Tom Brady and Peyton Manning were so nauseating to play against? They never had good offensive lines. Never. Okay? Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison, all these guys that Peyton Manning played with over the years, you never hear an offensive lineman named. You know why? Because his offensive lines generally weren't good. Anytime we played the Patriots, they had one good offensive guard. I forget his name, but he was an all-pro, Pro Bowl type guy year after year. Other than that, Logan Mankins. I think he played at Fresno State in college. Other than that, they never had good offensive lines because this sounds weird because I preach about the trenches all the time. But Tom Brady and Peyton Manning are their own unique animals, we all know. They got rid of the ball so quick, so I could beat the guard. Bam! Quick as a whistle, and the ball would be gone. And it was nauseatingly frustrating as a defensive lineman. Okay, so my point is, it really wasn't on our secondary not playing well. It's the fact that it was Tom Brady and Peyton freaking Manning, and they're all-time greats. But my point is it works together. The longer the DBs cover, the more time the D-line has to get to the quarterback, and vice versa with the D-line rushing the quarterback and making the DB's life easier. Now, to answer your question specifically, all right, it's interesting because there were some players that popped into my head. All right, Isaac Gifford popped into my head immediately. Okay, I'm not saying he is the best, but he's a guy that popped into my head, and he leads Nebraska. All right, with 67 total tackles, actually far and away. Number 2 is Omar Brown with 46 total tackles. He leads them with 33 solo tackles as well. So Isaac Gifford's, he's one of the better players this year. Malcolm Hartzog, maybe one of our better cover players as well. Okay. I believe he leads the team in pass breakups. I'd have to double check that. All right, Nash Hutmaker pops into my head. A nose guard with 4 sacks is insane in any defense. 4-3, 3-4, 3-3-5, 5-5, 22. Like, a nose guard with 4 sacks is crazy. All right, Ty Robinson is having a dominant year, and he's got 1 sack. So, and that is a compliment to Ty Robinson, that he's having a dominant year. I'm just saying Nash Hutmaker, nose guard, having 4 is crazy. I think a guy that's kind of flown under the radar, and he actually leads Nebraska with 4.5 sacks, is Jamari Butler. Okay, somehow he's like flying under the radar a little bit. So I think Nash Hutmaker, Ty Robinson pop into my head, Isaac Gifford, Malcolm Hartzog, Luke Reimer is a guy who's been banged up, but when he's on the field, he's highly productive. Nick Henrich has been one of these guys that's kind of been a mystery to me. He didn't get a black shirt initially. I think I'd have to go back and double check. It's been a while since I've looked at the list. I think he got one of the single-digit numbers, and it's been an interesting year for him, but he's a solid football player. So there's a lot of guys that you can throw into that conversation. Do you go by sacks? Do you go by coverage? Do you go by, leading the team in tackles? Again, I listed two guys on the first level, Ty and Nash. I listed like 2 or 3 guys on the second level. Okay, the defense, the linebackers, and then some guys on the third level, the DBs and safeties. So there's guys, I'm not going to give a specific name because it all works together, but those are the guys who've stood out the most to me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday, and I hope it is a phenomenal Saturday throughout the state of Nebraska, because that means the Huskers won. Until next time, go Big Red, and always remember, throw the ball.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.